Okay.
Yeah, it is recording now.
Oh, okay, good. Yes.
It's a stop recording. Why in the world? Ah, yeah, I got it. No, it is recording now.
Recording. I think it announces you're recording, right?
It is on. Very nice to meet you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My family ancestors come from Munich.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so in 1882, there were two big migration in Europe. The German, around, I don't know, 5,000 families moved to the south of Chile in South America.
Yeah.
So that's what my family come from. I was born in Chile.
Ah, really?
Yeah, and then a big migration from Italian moved to Argentina. So that's
Yeah.
Argentina. A lot of many people have Italian last name, and then
All
in my
right.
case, right, the first German arrived in uh, 1882 from Hamburg to the south of Chile. Uh,
Ah,
so my mother last name is Hoferberg, Hochfarber.
that
So
sounds German. Yeah.
yeah. I'm doing research into the family ancestor. I came across a lot of
Yeah.
good people. So I'm
I've never been to Chile. I've only made it to Colombia and Venezuela, but I liked it very much.
okay. Yeah, Chile is beautiful, man. It's a big German community in the south. I don't know, I don't know, 100,000 people.
Yeah, but if you travel, you don't want to meet other Germans. You go there to meet Chilean normally.
Yeah, I got you. All right, let's do a formal introduction for our show. From the studios in Fairfax City, we're very humble and grateful that Lutz Graf-Ulbrich accepted our invitation to our show. Lutz is one of the key figures in the German experimental band. He formed Agitation Free and also played with Ash Ra Tempel, later Ash Ra, and many other bands.
Yeah,
Welcome to the show, Lutz, man.
yeah. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So tell me with the pandemic and everything that's going on in the world. How you doing? How your family doing? You cannot tour. You're at home. The lockdown
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah. It's a tough time for artists now, even here in Germany, because all the concerts are cancelled and. Normally, I should be on tour right now, a big Germany tour with a band called 17 Hippies. It's like a world music band I'm playing with. But
Yeah.
last year we didn't play one concert, and this year this tour was cancelled. When all this started, that's a good thing about it. In March, the first lockdown, I composed a song, and my wife did the video, and I produced it at home all by myself,
Got
which nowadays is possible with all the technique. That's that. I mean, that's a kind of solution. And the song was called "The World Stands Still," and it's in German. I'm a German songwriter, and I got some subtitles on YouTube. So if you want to look that up,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
it's on my channel. And I'm just writing a new song. I'm working on it at home. It's called Free Speech,
Yeah.
um, which is more difficult to contain. And so, yeah, I might go to a manifestation after this interview in front of the Brandenburg Gate, where there are some lawyers who fight for the freedom of press well, that's so I'm quite working in these groups and try to well to change the way it's going right now.
You mean in terms of freedom of speech, more right to the people? It has something to do with the pandemic or nothing to do with the pandemic?
Yes, at the beginning, I was when what is I don't know. I heard some.
I, I cannot hear you.
Is that traffic? Is that traffic?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So in the beginning, in March, when I had to cancel the tour because of the pandemic, no one knew what is happening. Everyone was afraid that there's a really big pandemic coming, and
Yeah.
I was quite okay with it, and thought, well, it's good to make a lockdown, to stay at home, not to meet anyone. But after a while, my wife convinced me that it's not all about this virus, it's about different things. So I had to learn that. And so since then, I'm trying to be open-minded and to fight what the government is doing with us, because it's pretty tough what they do. Normally, my work as a musician is cancelled. I mean, we got support from the government in Germany for November, for the second lockdown, and December also. So they give you money, which is good, which helps, because normally I'm living on doing concerts, and as I can't do it anymore, I'm sitting at home and have no work. So yeah, that's the situation right now.
I got you. Understand. Let's start from the beginning. For those new to your music, you know, feel free to introduce yourself, who you are, and so on and so forth.
So sorry, I didn't get it.
For those new to your music, right?
Yeah.
Feel free to introduce yourself.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Well, I'm a Berlin-based musician, and the first real professional band. It was still a band from school called Agitation Free, as you mentioned. And in the beginning, it was like in the 60s. We started in 67.
Yep.
And we tried to copy American music and British music like all the German bands did. I think maybe all over the world. In South America, maybe it's the same. I'm not sure. But of course, it was a big influence. I came to music via Beatles. I heard the sound of the Beatles, and I was thrilled. I was 10 years old, and I learned to play guitar and started the band together with Christoph Franke, which was a neighbor, a friend. We knew each other from the kindergarten, and he played drums and I played guitar. So we started as school kids, and then with Agitation Free, our other guitar player Ludwig, he went to London and saw Pink Floyd, which was a big influence. And so he said, well, we have to avoid copying all these bands. We have to free ourselves from all these rules and try to find our own style and improvise. And of course, with all the drugs we were taking at the time, or starting to take, the psychedelic thing going on, and all this, we really were one of the first bands here in Germany and also in Berlin to develop what now is called krautrock. And I'm quite proud that last December, the film composer Hans Zimmer, I don't know if you know, if he's known.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to interview him next month.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, tell him my regards. I don't know him, but he sponsored a plate December for the Electronic Beatstudio in Berlin. That was a studio founded in '69 with Agitation Free, and it was and there was a avant-garde composer, Thomas Kessler.
Yeah.
And it was a place where we could develop this kind of music. And it was like the beginning of the so-called Berlin School of Electronic Music with bands like Tangerine, Ash Ra Tempel, Agitation Free. And Hans Zimmer, he honored this in sponsoring a plate, which is now at the building. And all these composers like Manuel Göttsching, Edgar Froese, and so on are named there, and also these bands. So yeah, that's how it started.
Wow. Were you born like in a musical family?
Not at all. My father, he could play the piano, but he was electrician. And my mother, she was just a housewife. She also could play the piano, but I've never heard her play. And we didn't have a piano. So, no, there was no such thing. When I was young, we had, of course, we had some records from my parents, like Elvis Presley music or something like this. But it was, normally it was really old-fashioned style of music. And with rock and roll, there was some new influence, but my parents didn't really listen to it. And at that time, in the 50s or early 60s, the radio stations, they wouldn't play this kind of music, or very rarely. So you had to find it by yourself. You know?
Yeah, I got you. So, so which was piano your first instrument before you began playing guitar, taking guitar?
No, as I told you, what I listened to, actually, it was a Chuck Berry song. I had this record from the Beatles. There was the A side was "I Want to Hold Your Hand," and on the B side there was "Roll Over Beethoven."
Yeah.
But that's a Chuck Berry song, but played by the Beatles, and the guitars. That really got me. That, oh, that's amazing! What? Oh, wow! I've never heard such a sound. And I asked my father, "Do you buy me a guitar? I have to learn guitar, and I want to form a band. I want to become a pop star." And so he bought me this guitar, and but he taught me, hey, you have to learn it properly at the school. I said, well, okay. So I began with classical training, and I met Mario Götzing,
Yeah.
the founder of Ash Ra Tempel, at age of 12 maybe, or 13 years old. We had the same teacher in guitar lesson.
I got you. So that beautiful story, man. So what before Agitation Free, when you were the equivalent in here here's high school in Germany, the gymnasium. What band were you prior? Were you playing
The
before Agitation Free?
The first band was called the Tigers,
Yeah.
and it was really fun. It was a three-piece band with Christoph Franke on drums, and Peter Preis, he was another guitar player, and myself. And we only had like 4 songs. And our first gig was at a school in our class. And we played 4 songs. That was a Hang on Sloopy by the McCoys, and Get Off My Cloud from Stones. Another song, and a self-composed song also already. She's looking pretty, but she isn't mine. I still remember the text. We did it in English. And that was the first band. And funny thing was, like on a bass drum, we had, do you know the company Esso? Is it yeah, the gasoline company.
Yeah.
And they had the tiger as a symbol for power, the tiger.
Yeah.
So we had on the bass drum, there was this tiger face. That was our first sponsor, but they didn't know that they were our sponsors. But that's how it began. And afterwards, after 1-2 years or so, we got different musicians. Still in the gymnasium, and the band was called Sentries. It lasted about maybe a year or so, and then in '67 we met Michael Günther. He was at the same school, and Ludwig Kramer, who was at a different school, and this guy who was in London seeing Pink Floyd. So, and he was a big Pretty Things fan. So now we got together, still copying English and American bands, but then shortly after we decided to improvise music, to play only instrumental music, no songs anymore, and to find a way to create new music, new sounds, and that was the beginning.
Right, and then before you guys released, Malesh in 1972, so you guys put together Agitation Free and then began touring in like pub, small venues. How was the beginning of Agitation Free?
No, well, as we were living in West Berlin,
Yeah.
at the time that was a Cold War,
Oh
and
yeah.
West Berlin was surrounded by the wall, of course, and for people who don't know how the situation was, it's like Germany was divided after the war between West and East Germany, and there was this big wall, between these two countries, but Berlin was based in the middle of East Germany, but belonged to the West. So that was a really crazy situation. We were like an island, the frontiers, from the Western world, living in the middle of East Germany, surrounded by Russian soldiers and surrounded by the wall. And you could only leave. You were allowed as a West Berlin citizen to go to West Germany. You had to cross East Germany by car or by plane, but we did it, of course, by car. We were young, we didn't have much money, couldn't afford flights. And you had 3 Autobahn going from Berlin to Hamburg, to Bavaria, and to the west. So we had to cross East Germany to go on tour, which was very difficult. So most of the gigs we played in the early years, like 68, 69, were only in Berlin, in West Berlin. And so that's how we started. And that was the same thing with Tangerine Dream, with Ash Ra Tempel. It was pretty tough for us to go on tour, because you had to cross like 200 kilometers to reach the West German, and it wasn't possible to play in East Germany, of course, because of the Cold War. So we in West Berlin, we were like a bit apart from all the others and living in our own, place, which was crazy, because West Berlin was fantastic. It was a little bit like New York, there were they didn't close down at midnight. It was open. We were a very free-spirited little town, but we had a good spirit. And but it was still like a little village. Only was like 1 million people or 2 million people living here.
Yeah, I got you. And then how long it took before that beginning until you guys produce Malesh in 70.
Yeah, that was a very funny story too. There were some clubs in West Berlin where we played, and there was a little festival where we played with Agitation Free, with Tangerine Dream and Ash Ra Tempel, I think, together. And after our concert, a guy came on stage, an older guy with a suit, which was very uncommon. Dressed, and he said, well, he's a council of Cairo, and he wanted to invite us to Egypt. And I mean, as we were only playing in West Berlin, we were like 18 years old, still school kids, and there comes this guy, and I thought he's like tripping or whatever, and inviting us to Egypt. We didn't take it seriously, but then he wasn't the council, he was just a guy from the embassy. But we really made contact to the Goethe Institute, and then the Goethe Institute organized a 3-week tour, which we did next year then. It took about a year to organize it. And of course, we couldn't believe that this is going on, because we were the first rock band really going to these countries,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have seen a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
And then the pyramid, and the picture of Malesh, right? That is,
It was really crazy. It was fantastic, and we felt like Rolling Stones. We had our own chauffeur, and we were driving around, visiting the pyramids, and it was like a big culture clash, of course. To see people near Gizeh, where the pyramids are, fishing with their blank hands, and meeting these people, the Bedouins, dressed with these long coats, and we were with synthesizers, and I had an organ guitar, Vox organ guitar, which was a very a futuristic instrument. You could play guitar and organ with it, with a lot of knobs there. It was a shitty instrument actually, because it was the first thing they built, and it didn't really work well, but it was very avant-garde. And to be in this country as an 18, 19-year-old kid, it was, of course, a very impressive experience. And what we did in these times, we learned from this Thomas Kessler, this avant-garde composer, to tape record, to record sounds, you know, and to mix it in the music. So we brought a little tape recorder with us. Our bass player did this, Michael Günther, bass player. And whenever he found something interesting, he taped it. So when you listen to and that was maybe the beginning of this kind of world music, because we combined the sounds from the streets or from these musicians. We went to a belly dance concert and we listened to the music, and he recorded all this, and that was the base for our Marlash records.
I got you. And then, so after that, you guys, you know, we're a little, you know, we're well known than before you went to Egypt. And then how, the record sales or Malaysia was okay, or no, you didn't sell that many vinyl at the time?
Well, the first problem was that as we were a live playing, improvising band, and we have never been into the studio. So when we had this contract, we were in a very good studio here in Berlin for 1 week. And we had to try to produce our music, but in this long player format, like half hour and half hour, you know? And so as we were playing long improvisations, it was very tough to find a way for us, you know, to get into the mood. And I remember, and also the studio was very old-fashioned. And I remember when we were telling the engineer, he was a very straight, old-fashioned kind of, you know, engineer, like with the Beatles, you know, these guys who really didn't understand what was going on. And we were telling him the next piece we're going to record, and we start with a meditation. We do a meditation. We're all laying down, and then we are starting to play. So keep the tape running, but it will take some time. So we were meditating, and you know, everyone was very quiet and relaxed. And then the first guy, after maybe 10 minutes, started to play some tones, and the next joined in, and it was fantastic. And all of a sudden, from the speaker, the studio speaker, we hear the announcement from the sound engineer. Should we record now or what? So you know, oh no, you know. Yeah, so
man, no
this was these you know, these times where the studio people didn't really understand how we were working. But we were glad. We had a very nice guest musician, Peter Michael Hamel, who was influenced by Terry Riley, and he came and he played this wonderful minimal organ patterns. And in the end, we did quite well. And but we weren't really happy with our record company, and I don't know about the sales. I think the sales were okay, but this music wasn't either of these bands like Tangerine, and we were not commercial music. You know, it didn't play on the radio. It was like strange for the mainstream.
Yeah, got you. It's funny. After we finish this interview, I need to call Peter Michael Hamel as well to organize an interview. I would say he's a very nice person. He sent me a lot of material last night, and he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He has produced so much stuff.
Yeah.
And then he became a teacher, a professor, and he has a wide range of stuff, man.
Yeah, fantastic.
Not just electronic, but the stuff they did with you guys, and then more classical. Ballet. He have done so much stuff, man.
And he's a good singer. He does his singing fantastic.
I need to poke him after that. And so, and then how long after that you guys put the the second record, right? The second was called the second album. That
Yeah.
was a revolution. It was so you put the first record out in Malaysia in '72. You began touring. You did have a contract for, and then it was. Now you were, better known, I suppose, in Berlin, and it was the sales, and then producing the second album did open up a lot more opportunities for you guys, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, I must mention on this tour, this Near East tour, we went to Egypt and to Lebanon, Cyprus and Greece. And in Lebanon, we did a concert in a church, and there was this young guy, Assad Debs. He was a Paris-born Arabic guy, and he listened to our music, and he decided to become a manager, a promoter. So, and that was very big step for us and very good contact, because he said, I will do tours for you in France. So we were playing in Paris, and it was Nico. I met Nico and the singer and all this, because he was managing Nico also. So we had a very good success in France, a bit more actually, because the French audience was more open to our kind of music as the Germans were. But yeah, we had a good status then, and we were quite known. Also in Germany, not first league, but maybe second, and we were doing good concerts, festivals, and all this. But then we had problems with our guitar player, Jörg Schwenke, Yoshi we called him. He was. We were taking drugs, all these bands like progrock, they all were taking, like smoking hashish or taking LSD, and some of them were also taking hard drugs. Which was, of course, very, very difficult. With Keith Richards from the Stones, if you have a heroin addict in the band, it's always,
very bad.
He's not reliable. So yeah, we had to split, which was in every band, when you have a band and you come to a point where you decide, like the Stones with Brian Jones or whatever, there's a guy who's not working with the band anymore, and then you throw him out of the band. It hits you pretty hard, and the spirit of the band changes. So that was, and now I regret that we did it. That I wanted to say your audience also. For other musicians, like the band Can, I'm sure you know the band Can. They had this guitar player, Michael Caroli, and we were good friends with Can, and Michael Caroli was addict too, but they kept him in the band. They said, we keep him and we support him, and that's very strong. But Can, they were a bit elder than we were younger, and we didn't know better, so we threw him out of the band, which was bad for him, and he never really got his feet on musical ground anymore. And we got a new guitar player, Stefan Dietz, and he was a fantastic guitar player, and he was the member of the band then, and with him we recorded the second. Unique.
A beautiful story. If you can elaborate on the composition Layla, for me it's the most beautiful thing you guys put together at the time. At the time, it was beautiful, very, very well done. And it's version 1, version part 1, part 2, part 3, and there's many I have seen on the record and on the social network, on Spotify and YouTube, like 4 different version of that. That's a beautiful composition. How that came together? This is a very
that was still the result from our impressions from Egypt, because there was this beautiful girl, Laila, a young beautiful Egyptian girl. We all fell in love with her, and she was we stayed 1 week in Cairo and Alexandria, and she was with us all the time. so we wrote to honor her or to dedicate it to her, and that was a composition still made with Jörg Schwenke, Yoshi, the other guitar player who plays on Malesh, and myself, you know, well, with this two guitars play together.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was to honor this lady, and that comes from this period. And I must say, together with this krautrock music, sometimes this happens that there's the same thing going on in a different location, like the West Coast. You had all these bands like Grateful Dead, like Allman Brothers, Birds, when they played live. 8 Miles High Live is a fantastic live improvisation with great guitar player and Allman Brothers, and they were a big influence too for us, you know, playing this like doing bets and these great guitar players who played twice with two guitars and you know, dueling, and that was an influence too for this composition.
Yeah. Oh,
but it had nothing to do with Stefan Dietz, the later guitar player. It was still a composition coming from the Malesh times.
I think Stefan Dietz passed away recently, right? The same,
last year.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, he's an unbelievable guitarist. I mean, he's very. Everybody wanted to play with him, you know, when.
Yeah, actually,
you guys, you know.
Actually, when we decided to throw out our former guitar player Yoshi, and we had to do it quickly because the tour was starting next day or something. Yeah. We wanted to play you wanted to ask his brother Frank Dietz. He's also a very good, very known guitar player. Frank Dietz, he played with a German singer-songwriter Peter Maffay, who were very successful, but more commercial mainstream music. And we asked him, but he couldn't. And he said, well, ask my brother. He's also a very good guitar player. So we asked Stefan, and he had time. So he came with us. And he was more like jazz-orientated guitar player. But I had problems with him personally, I must say, because he was a very straight person. For me, he was a fantastic musician, no doubt about it. And I'm really grateful that he helped us developing this kind of music. And he also, when he left the band after the record we did, he gave us all his compositions, like First Communication, Sunrise, in the Morning Sunrise. And so that was very generous of him. But personally, I had problems with him because I wasn't such a good guitar player. Maybe I was jealous, or he couldn't really deal with my way of playing. So we got not. Normally, I'm a guy who gets along with everyone very, very good. But with him, it wasn't so close, you know. But still, in the end, after we didn't see each other over the last years, but. When he was about to die, I wrote a biography, and his brother Frank Dietz, he was taking care of Stefan, and he gave him this my book, and I did a little dedication because I mean these stories are old, and it's sad he died, but that happens, you know.
Yeah, how old were you at the time? No. Not when he died, but when at the time that he began playing with you guys.
21, maybe 20. I think 21. Yeah.
I got you. And then, can you tell us about? And we want to begin talking about a little bit of Ash Ra Tempel. What can you tell about your friendship with the Ash Ra Tempel guys at the time before you joined?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the Beatstudio earlier, which was the base for these bands. We met. There was different bands. And we listened to the others, and we played concerts together because we were on the same kind of music, you know. And I remember, for example, when Christoph Franke and I went to see Tangerine Dream, you know, for the first time, and to see what they are playing. Oh yeah, wow, great stuff they're doing. So we were influenced by each other. So there was a friendship, and also with Konrad Schnitzler in when was it, like in the 70s or 71? Konrad Schnitzler, he was the first member of Tangerine Dream. He was he was more like a sound architect, or I don't know how you what do you call him, but a very avant-garde thinking guy. He was more like coming from the art school, and he was I think he was a student of Joseph Beuys, the artist, and so, and he formed this band Eruption. I don't know if you know about it. That was the first. We did like 4 concerts with him, with Manuel, with Hartmut Enke from Ash Ra Tempel, with Michael Günther, with Klaus Schulze on drums, and myself. So we were playing together some concert as well. So there was a big friendship. But when Klaus Schulze decided to become a solo artist, and Hartmut Enke, the bass player, he got crazy. I think he took too much acid, so he left the band. So there was Manuel Götzing all by himself. And I just was living in France. That was in '74, and Agitation 3 had split up also. So I didn't have a band, and Manuel didn't have a band. And then he did this record, Inventions for Electric Guitar.
Yeah, of course I know.
So I listened to it living in France at that time. Because I wanted to live in France. I didn't want to live in Berlin anymore. I listened to this music, and I was really impressed by this new way of playing electric guitar. And I knew I could do the same music, and I knew that Manuel was looking for musicians. So I went back to Germany, to Berlin, and had a meeting with Manuel, and said, let's play together your kind of music. Let's try it. So we did a jam, and it was like, bing. It was like we hadn't done something different all these years. It was like first love. So we decided to play one concert in Paris with another musician, John Strawn, but he was only for this concert. He was playing synthesizer, and we played the music of this wonderful record, Inventions for Electric Guitar. Yeah. And then I was living in France, and Manuel was living in Berlin. But I went back to Berlin then because it didn't work out. My try to live in Paris as a musician. So I went back to Berlin and played and kept playing with Manuel then.
Yeah, you're playing as a duo, right? As a duo for a while, right? I'm in the process of trying to get an interview with Manuel as well. He's an unbelievable musician too. Plus, he's a very nice person, man.
Yes, but he lives with his wife Ilona. I'm sure you know him, and of course it's not so easy to get an interview because he's very shy, and he doesn't do a lot of interviews. Well, I
would try. And I talked to one of his manager, and he sent me the contact info. I emailed him a couple of days ago. And let's see what happened. He's releasing an old record that he did some years ago that he'd been busy, but I will try. And so you did have the same guitar teacher like Manuel when you were like 12. Right. So you guys knew from one another before, man.
Right. As I talked earlier, we met a couple of times. We didn't play together, but we met a couple of times when he was having a lesson and I came in, or other way around. Yeah. So we knew each other very early, at an early age. But at this time, when we were 12 years old or 13 years old, of course, we didn't know that we would play in a band together. But we kept playing since '74 for like over 20, 30 years. It stopped in 2000. but yeah, that was unpredictable, and that was a great time because Manuel is a very great musician, very good person, very nice sense of humor also, and doing these tours in France and in England, just the two of us playing this minimal kind of music. I loved that really, and that was a great time.
Yeah, no, it's a key, absolutely. What about the album de Vercou de Cristal? That came after Correlations or before Correlation?
No, well, the album came out later, but the music itself was created partly from Manuel at his home. He did some music for a radio station, and the contact to Philippe Garel, who was the how do you call it, the director of Berceau de Cristal, the film director, he was the former friend of Nico. And we met in south of France, Nico, when we were playing a festival, a beautiful amphitheater in Arles with like 7,000 people, and there was a fantastic full moon concert, or I don't know if it's full moon, but it was open air and this ancient place. And I remember Ken were playing there, Nico was playing there, Kevin Ayers was playing there, and Ash Ra Tempel was playing there. And I asked Manuel to avoid a light show. Instead of that, we only had some, how do you call it, some lights, like fire, you know, like sticks, I don't know the name for it. And so we had only these 4 lights, and the sky was our light show, which was amazing. It was a magic evening, you can remember. And then we went on tour further on with Ken, and Nico stayed with us, and we had a great time touring on our VW bus, Manuel, Nico, and myself. And I was dreaming of maybe living with Nico and doing this kind of tour life. And so there was this contact with Nico, and Nico was together with Philippe Garel, or they lived together in Paris, but they didn't have a love relationship anymore. So I was living then there also. So and Philippe had done this movie and was looking for music. Yeah. So we made a deal, and we just sent him our music, and it fitted perfectly. But that was only for the movie. It was no record then. It was only for the music, and the record, I think it came later in the 90s, I think, or something.
I got you, beautiful. And then you guys did Bell Alliance, right? In 79.
Well, first we did Correlations.
Correlations. Gotcha.
Yeah, I was living in France, in Paris for a while again, and I got this phone call, because then, you know, I have to say there was an interruption with my collaboration with Manuel, because I was so much in love with Nico, the singer from Velvet Underground, and she was living in Paris, so I was going from Paris to Berlin with her, and to Berlin, and from
back and forth.
And we did concerts together, and I was her guitar player at that time, but also playing with Ash Ra, with Manuel. But there was one gig where we got an invitation for Ash Ra Tempel to play in Italy, and on the same date we had to play a concert with Nico in Spain. So I had to decide where do I play. And as I was in love with Nico, of course I choose to play with Nico. So for a while this collaboration with Manuel ended, and I had become addicted too with heroin at that time. Not heavy, but a bit addicted. So I went to Paris to cool off, and and then I got a phone call from Manuel that he was playing a concert in London, and he wanted me to join him. And he also asked Harald Großkopf, who had played with Klaus Schulze on the Moondawn record. Yeah. And he was, and they knew each other from the cosmic career times with all these bands, and so they had made a record together, starring Rosie, where Harald Groskopf was the drummer. So Harald was living in Ibiza for vacation, and with three of us, we met in London for 3 days for the first time with the drummer to rehearse for a gig. And that was the official gig for the Blackouts record, which Manuel had done by himself. And that was the first gig with the three of us. And so then we started to play at the trio called Ash Ra. And the first record we did was called Correlations. And after that, we did this Belle Alliance.
Yeah, that's a beautiful album too, man. And then you guys, then later on you did a Agitation Free sort of comeback, right?
Yeah, that was only to finish the band. Yeah, I was coming back from my life with in France, and they had done some more concerts with some other musicians, and we wanted to end Agitation Free.
Yeah.
But that was already in '74, I think. It was the end of '74, I think. And so I organized the last concert, which was called Last Reunion, and with all the members, and even Christoph Franke was playing on it. And Mani Neumeier, a very good drummer from Guru, he joined us, and all the musicians who could take who had time were playing at this last concert. And I'm happy that Klaus D. Müller, he was at the time he was a road manager of Ash Ra and later became the manager of Klaus Schulze. He recorded this concert, which was meant as a last concert for Agitation Free, which it was. And later on, we published this record called Fragments, with this live.
Is that's the one called Shibuya Nights or no?
Oh, that you were talking about. That was much later. That was in the 2000, I don't know, 2008 or 2007, when we were invited by this big, huge fan of all of our bands, Gen Fuchita. He's a Japanese businessman who is very, very rich and who owns a wax museum with all he's a big fan of kraut rock music, and there's Klaus Schulze standing there, Manuel Götzsching, but now last year I think the museum doesn't exist anymore, but at the time it was still running, and he invited all these bands. And so also when Michael Hönig, our keyboard player, was introduced as a wax figure next to Don Preston, by the way, a good friend of his, we were invited to do the tour, and we played 3 gigs in Tokyo, and that was recorded, and then we did it as this Shibuya Nights record.
By the way, also, Klaus, you mentioned Michael Honig, you mentioned Klaus Schulze. Those are very, very important people too, man. I mean, in music, But Klaus Schulze is difficult to get a hold of.
I think he's very, very sick. The last time we had the same record company, and I was based in Hanover, and he lives nearby, and I was in the office like maybe 3-4 years ago, and I've heard that he's not doing well because he was supposed to play a concert and in Poland, I think, and it got cancelled. So by accident, he was calling when I was there, and that's when I spoke to him last time. But he was like always, everything's fine, no, don't worry, and that's the way he is always. But I've heard he's really doing not so good anymore. So I don't know. That's I think he's very hidden at home and doesn't talk to many people anymore. But he has a wife caring for him, so I think he's in good hands. But I don't think you will see him perform anymore. I must say.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, he is very, very good player. What can you tell about the 17 hippies?
That is a very, very fun project, and it was formed in '95. Completely different music. It was formed from a trio because there was this guy Christoph Blenkinsop. Sorry, he has an English mother and a German father, and he was in Ireland. He lives in Berlin, and he was in Ireland, and you know the music scene in Ireland, the pubs, you know, they're full of musicians, and they play this traditional Irish music. So he was in this pub, and there was this band playing in a corner, and after an hour, this violin player went to the bar, gave the violin to the neighbor, and the violin and the neighbor kept playing. You know, the same stuff, and that was, you know, the violence. So this traditional music, acoustic music, folk music. So he himself, he's a bass player normally, and he's into rock music. But he was so impressed by this traditional music, and that people played without amplifiers. Just, you know, you get an instrument, tune it, and start playing. So he came back to Berlin, and he founded the band, the trio. And the lineup was, he played ukulele, you know, and there was a double bass player, like double bass, you know, acoustic, and pipe, a bagpipe, like bagpipe. That was a trio. I mean, a very curious constellation of instruments, and they called themselves 17 Hippies. And the idea was to play just for fun, acoustic music, not carrying heavy amplifiers anymore, instead of just, you know, having fun, and also maybe to learn a new instrument, because the bagpipe player was normally a drummer, the ukulele player was a bass player. So and he had this idea of you know, developing this kind of music, and together with amateur players who learn music, not professional, just for fun, not about earning money, only fun. And this idea was so big that in about weeks we got so many musicians, and I was invited. I remember that a bit later, and we were maybe 7 people then, and we were, and then the bagpipe player said, well, you know, the rehearsal room in a cellar in the Tempelhof airport, which is an old Nazi building, where we had all these rehearsal rooms in the cellar, and a very legendary place, but it was too small for all of us, and so this bagpipe player said, well, he knows a boat in Kreuzberg, which is a cool district here in Berlin, where there's a boat with a gastronomy, with a bar, and we could go there to rehearse in public, you know, and we have drinks and all that. So we went there, and we did, you know, like rehearsing, and we had a lot of guests, and so this guy exploded, and we got an invitation for the South by Southwest festival in Texas in 98. So we got there with like 35 friends, and at that time, the 17 Hippies, we were like 26 musicians. Wow. So we went there. No one earned some money. It was just for fun. We stayed there for 2 weeks, and it was a fantastic times. And so we kept playing it now for 25 years and going around the world. But the idea was only, you know, having fun. You know?
Gotcha. That's beautiful, man. Yeah, unbelievable, man. And then you put together your Lüül, and then Lüül and I, right?
Yeah.
Right. How you pronounce Lüül in German?
Lüül. Yeah, it's quite well. It's I know it's unusual because it's a U with the 2 points, and it's Lüül. Yeah, that's a nickname my sister gave me when I was a teenager, and it's my nickname and my artist name. yeah, as a singer-songwriter and also banjo player, I played banjo in this 70 Hippies band, and yeah, I like this name. And Lüül, this is my project where I play, because what I did all the time, coming from the Tigers, as I told you earlier, where I already had written a song in English, and I was always into songwriting, apart from all this music. But I was too shy. It took really years and years to record my first singer-song album. But I always did this, parallel to the krautrock music or 70 Hippies music. And that's what I do mostly now, except for now we have the pandemic and we can't play anymore. But this is where I earn my money mostly.
I got you. And then one of the listeners to the radio asked me to ask you this question. Was Nico the love of your life?
I must admit.
You're married, so it doesn't matter.
I must admit, though I'm married now to my beautiful lady Daniela, and of course she is the most important person in my life, since we are married since 2008, and we know each other, or we love each other since 2003. So this is now my of course my love of life, but it's true that
at the time,
of course, to meet Nico and to get to know her and to be in love with her was a very important station or period in my life, which still continues, because I'm taking care of her grave here in Berlin. She's buried here. I organized the funeral, or this back in '88, and I'm in contact via Facebook also with a lot of international Nico fans, and also my most popular song, which I wrote for her, is called Reich der Träume, Reign of Dreams, which is on YouTube. And this is, of course, the most popular song I've ever written, because Nico is such a great singer.
No, I know that song is very popular, and I think you can kind of translate it to English as like carry away with dreams or reality dreams.
Yeah, right.
Because you living with her, going to place, and she was a little crazy too. It was like living in a dream. It wasn't real life. You have like a dream life for 10 years, right?
Yeah, really. It was really, especially with Nico. Of course, she was a heroin addict, but her personality was so strong, and she was so unique. And I couldn't believe that I'm living with this lady, And we went to the Chelsea Hotel in New York, and I got to know all these great musicians, Andy Warhol and John Cale, and that was of course fantastic. And we toured in San Francisco. We played at the Whiskey A Go-Go. That's a legendary place. I met Tom Petty in the audience. And it was really, it was a dream come true. Though of course it was very exhausting. To live with Nico. It was really exhausting, and it was nerve-breaking, wrecking, and it wasn't always easy, And we also had a fight in the Chelsea Hotel, because she could be very aggressive too, She wasn't only this beautiful lady, and she could be very furious. So it wasn't easy, but of course, to live with her was like living in a movie. It was really dramatic and full of crazy experiences and all this shit. Really.
Like now I understand what you say before. You needed to make a decision between Manuel Goshin or Nico, and then go to Spain to play with Nico now, right?
And as she was addicted, it was, and I self got addicted too. I'm happy that I got out of it, without dying, And Nico, despite she was taking so many drugs all these years, I think 14 years, she was very strong. She was very strong physically also, you know. She could take it. I myself, if I had taken heroin much longer, I think I would have died. And of course, that was the other side of this relationship, which could be also very destroying.
Yeah, of course, it's not good. It's not good, but people, overdose, and how many musicians have died, very good people. I always have a question, always have wanted to know why there are so many, why is Berlin, the mecca of electronic music? Why there were too many electronic musicians coming out of Berlin at the time?
Yeah, I think that has to do with the Beatstudio, the electronic Beatstudio, where this teacher we had, Thomas Kessler, I mentioned earlier, he was an avant-garde composer, and he introduced us to all these like Terry Riley or other musicians who did this kind of minimal or experimental music, and so that was a big influence, I think. But it wasn't only in Berlin. I have the theory but I think the theory is wrong. But I always say like we were on an island surrounded by the Berlin Wall, so we had to escape from it with like with our music, to fly away from this prison we were in. I mean, we didn't feel like being in prison because it was still a big city in Berlin. But I think this is one theory. But then we had other bands living in Munich, Popol Vuh, or Can in Cologne, which did the same kind of music, and they were living in other parts. So this speaks against my theory. So. Yeah, I don't know, but maybe all these influences with these avant-garde composers were a part of it.
Yeah. My good friend, is a good. He really loves the Popol Vuh music. And did you ever play with Popol Vuh at all, or a little bit?
No,
or
actually, I didn't. I never saw them live. Never heard them, and I don't know their music so well. We met Harmonia, which became Cluster, because we were playing at the Olympic Games. I mean, nowadays you couldn't believe that's possible, that during Olympic Games, musicians like Terry Riley was playing. Peter Michael Hammer, I think he made a contact because he was living in Munich, that Agitation Free was invited, and Harmonia or Cluster, I think they were called then, were invited too. So we met Rodelius and Möbius and great guys. But Popol Vuh I never met. Amadou we met a couple of times.
Yeah, we interview. I interviewed a module about 2 months ago. The main.
Maybe put some lights on. Is it maybe? Am I too dark?
Go ahead, put some light if you want. Okay. Because I need to put the recharger. I'm coming right back. Too.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me put the recharger here. All right. Yeah, I need to recharge the computer. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's much better. Yeah. Module. We did have a very good interview, and there was one person I forgot the name now, from Popol Vuh, that had played with. Now it's part of the module 2.
Oh yeah.
So I wanna definitely. He's one of the few survivors that are alive. So I definitely want to get a hold of this person, because Popol Vuh music is very, very good, very different, right? But it's very, very good.
There's a lot of music for the Werner Herzog movies.
Of course, Werner Herzog, of course, yeah, all the movie. Descaraldo and all the other ones.
Yeah.
Are you are you still in touch with Michael Honing at all? He's
Yes, I will call him today or maybe tomorrow, and I think you can interview him as well if you want.
Yeah. If you can send me up, I sent him an email a couple of days ago. Yeah, if you can talk to him, I would love to.
Yeah.
And the other, go ahead. So the other email that I got is from Thomas and Mario. I listened to the work that you sent me with Thomas Fanger and Mario Jollinger, and I like it very much. It's very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is another project I do, and we will do. I wrote you in an email that we will do another album. I think comes out in some weeks because we meet. I don't know. Every 3 years or something, we meet and we do some sessions. And I don't know if you are familiar with the recording we did in a VW bus. Do you know this, Frankfurter Allee?
No, I don't know.
Check it on live on YouTube. It's Mario Schönwelder featuring Lutz Ulbrich, and I think when you put it on YouTube, you will, because it's I think the most popular we did, and we were driving. The idea was like having only a minimal equipment, just an electric guitar, maybe an iPhone or something. And we were driving in Berlin, the Frankfurter Allee, which is a very beautiful avenue here, and playing like 23 minutes or something, just improvising. And it was like this. It was beautiful. And the video you saw, you mentioned that we were playing live. That was last year. Where on the screen you see the original video where we recorded the music, and we tried to play the same music last year on our first concert together, and I wanted this to have on the screen behind us.
Yeah, so, and plus Thomas and Mario, they're very, very good musicians by themselves. They're good, very good people. I have seen and heard some people. They're very good people. So I definitely will be talking to them. You also participated with, one of the, a lot of people in Tangerine Dream have died already, but with Thorsten in a series what he called Behind Closed Door with Thorsten. Yeah, that's very, very good too, man.
Yeah, I was really happy because I don't know him. I only met him, Thorsten, some years ago when there was a film premiere of Edgar Froese movie. I don't know if you're familiar with this. No. There's this beautiful Edgar Froese movie, and it was shown, I think, 2-3 years ago at the Berliner Film Festival. And we had a party afterwards, and the ex-wife of the widow of Edgar Froese was there, Bianca, and Thorsten Questioning was there. And I was, because Edgar Froese from Tangerine, he was living in Austria last years. So I thought, and he was playing with Austrian musicians, and I thought Thorsten is an Austrian musician, but he's based in Berlin. He's a Berlin musician. And when he had this idea last year, like in May or June, as everything was locked down, and he had the idea to invite musicians and to make them play, he asked me via Facebook. And he just, because we had met only once and didn't talk to each other, but he wrote me on Facebook, do you want to join me and play some music as well? And I was really in a kind of a lockdown mood, I had just written the song, The World Stand Still here, as I told you, and I wasn't too keen to go out and to play, and I do not play this kind of music that often. This electric guitar. Normally I play more acoustic music and songs. I play this krautrock or experimental electronic music also once in a while, but not all the time. So, and you have to get into it. It's to play like half an hour solo guitar if you're not used to it, it's kind of a risk, you know, really, even for me, you know. So I was thinking, and then my wife, she there's this movie where there's Tangerine Dream music in it, Bandersnatch, you know, and she loves this music, and you got an invitation of a Tangerine Dream musician, you have to do it. So okay, I said okay. I rehearsed a bit here, and then I took my guitar and went there to the concert hall he had rented, and the only thing we did, we said hello, install the guitar. What are we doing? Oh, okay, we play like, I don't know how long, maybe half an hour, whatever. And it's A minor. Okay, go. And
Wow.
that was all we did, you know. And I really loved this idea because there was no security, no. I mean, of course, we could have stopped, of course, you know, because it wasn't live. We recorded it live, but it wasn't transmitted live. It was made like 10 days later or so. But we kept it as and most of the sessions were kept like the original, you know. So and that was great, and we got along musically very good, and the sound was good, and so yeah, I'm really proud of it.
I watched it a couple of days ago, and I interviewed Thorsten also. He's a very good person too, and he's very good music. I mean, I'm a fan of Tangerine Dream, obviously, but
yeah,
man, you guys are musicians. How can you adapt to all? You know, you have played with so many people with so many different styles. You know, you are very good. You know, it's very difficult to adapt. You know, going for the stuff you do with Mario and Thomas, the stuff you do with, have done with musician and with 17 Hippies and acoustic guitar, more electric guitar. You know, this.
Yeah, I always liked, you know, to change the styles, or to look, you know, not to only do one thing, but you know, to be open to other styles of music, and that's what I like. And but to do improvisations, that is quite an how do you call it? Quite an effort to do, and not you have to be really open, and to not to be afraid of mistakes, you know, because you don't know what you're gonna play next minutes or so, and but I like this because nowadays in our music world, all the concerts, even with the 17 Hippies, which began as a very chaotic, how do you call it, chaotic band where mistakes were celebrated, you know, when the school was, you know, fuck it and go on. So I know one will kill me when I do a mistake, even if the people paid money for concerts, but still it's for a lot of musicians is a very big risk, and they don't take risks anymore. They want to give their audience what they do in the studio, right. And not take any risk. And that's what I like with Thorsten, that he has this idea behind closed doors, and he knows what he's doing, and I really adore him for that, because he has this huge equipment, and but it's working, and he has his, you know, there's almost no mistakes he does. He's really very intelligent and very, he's good at it, and all the other musicians. So, wait a second, it's ringing here.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm glad I got invited, and Yeah, and what the other thing is what is good because he also is a businessman, and I think this is also important because we are all musicians who depend on earning money with our music. So when you squeeze this music on YouTube, and I think here's a good way to do it. You see it on YouTube live, not really live, but yeah, like still a live recording, and after that, it changes on other platforms, like Vimeo and what is the other one? I forgot. Where you
no, Vimeo yeah.
Bandcamp or is it Bandcamp or whatever?
Yeah, Bandcamp, yeah.
Where you can buy it,
Yeah, of course.
So if the people are really interested in this kind of music, they can, they can buy it and they give us money, and it's not like for free because we all the music nowadays, as you know, on Spotify, it's the worst of our music is it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and so I think this is a good idea to do it that way.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, absolutely, man. You guys don't get paid at all with the Spotify. Bandcamp is much better because Bandcamp take only like 10%. So
Yeah.
when you upload a record, they only take 10% and they send you a check for the 90, which is very good. In Spotify, you get 0.0006.
Yeah.
So you need like a million hits to get 500.
Yeah. You don't want it anything.
Make
Yeah.
money, right? What kind of music do you listen now at home? What kind of stuff you like?
Well, to at home, I don't listen to any music really.
Really?
Yeah, I'm this I'm this kind of musician who doesn't listen to other music. Because music is everywhere. You go in a restaurant, or if you can now you can, but normally at the airport, everywhere you get surrounded by music. So I love to be silent and to just enjoy not having music. So really, I don't listen to any music. Of course, sometimes there are some documentaries I look. Like what I recently looked was, but it's like old stuff from the '60s. But I really like this. It's about the musicians in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, the Hollywood Hills. There's a documentary with all these great musicians, Jackson Brown and Crosby, Stills and Nash, and this. I recently saw that, or I saw about the Stones, all this old stuff. More. I'm getting a bit more old-fashioned, I must say, concerning my taste of music.
Well, so it's. Man, you have played with so many musicians, from Christoph Franke, from Thomas Kessler, Peter Michael Hamel, Michael Honig, Klaus Schulze, with Harold Crosskopf. Is anybody that you have not played that you wish you have the opportunity to play? Because you have played with everybody, man. Is anyone looking back in your life? Is any particular man I wish I have done a gig with this guy or with that guy or that guy?
I would have loved to play with the Byrds or with the with Allman Brothers also, because I had a very, very fun night last year. There's this krautrock festival, or hippie festival, I should say, here in Germany, and we played there last year with 17 Hippies. And Graham Nash was playing there also. Was the headliner. And after our concert, there was a band playing, and I really loved that idea. That was the Allman Betts Band. And the Allman Betts Band, these are the sons of the Allman Brothers Band. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Allman Brothers Band, but it's a very interesting band, and there were also concerted guitar playing, my heroes, and these guys, and I was staying on a next to the stage. I was like, they were playing, and I was only like 2 or 3 meters away, and they keep playing this original music from their fathers, and I had so much fun listening to them. And then we met at the bar at the hotel, and we were talking to each other, and I really loved this contact. And this was I would love to have played with them. And also last year I saw a concert with Michael Rother. Michael Rother, yeah. I've never heard him play. He was playing with Eno and with Cluster, and I've never seen him play. And when he was starting his music, it's a bit like Ash Ra music. You have the sequencers, and he's playing this guitar. And I was so like, hey, I want to go on stage. I want to join him. And he has a fellow musician called Franz Barkmann. And Franz Barkmann, he was also invited by Thorsten Questioning to join one of his sessions. And now I'm playing with this guy, and he could be my son. He's like 30 years old or something. Yeah. So we meet and we jam this kind of music. So it goes on and on.
Yeah, in terms of guitarists in general that you admire, people like Jeff Beck and Brian May and Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page. Have you met them or played at all with them?
But it was really funny during the first lockdown now when I was doing my workout here. I have some 2 machines here where I listen to some rock music, and I'm not a big Queen fan, but there was this Bohemian Rhapsody coming. And I mean, this is a masterpiece, and there's a really great guitar solo, Yeah. So, and I listened to it. I was like, wow, that's really good solo. And next day, when I was doing my workout again, I had YouTube on, and Brian May was there, sitting in his home and talking, to the audience, to his fans, and said, well, I know a lot of fans of yours like me to show you the solo of Bohemian Rhapsody, how I played. And so that was fantastic to see him, a very nice guy, and very nice. And he shows that, no attitude, I'm a big star, not at all. And so, that was really nice. No, but I haven't met all these musicians. I wouldn't compare myself with. I see myself more as a limited musician and a limited guitar player. Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
No, it's not true. You cannot be limited with all the people that you are very humble. With all the people that you mentioned, it's not limited.
Thank you. So, but that's the way I see it. And but you're right. I mean, I'm really happy with the musicians I could play and still do, and I'm also very happy that I decided with the Beatles, coming to my life, to become a musician, because the life as a musician, and I'm happy that I can afford to live. I'm not rich, but I can live with my music. I don't know about the future because now everything's changing, but I don't really care. As artists, we're always flexible with money and all this, and I'm really happy that I decided to become a musician. But I have to tell you, maybe for the listeners also, because in the 70s, to become a musician and to when you are young and you decide now you want to live with making music. Of course, it's not so easy, especially if you do this kind of music, which is not top 40 music. So how do you do it? How do you survive? So a lot of people, a lot of musicians, mostly everyone in Berlin, they had a taxi driver license.
Oh, I see.
Mario Götzing, he was a cab driver. I was a cab driver, and I I still own my Philip Glass. Philip Glass, yeah. The great composer, Philip Glass, Terry Riley music. He was a cab driver in New York, and so we all had this. I have this profession. I still have the permission to do the job because you have to every 5 years you have to renew it, and I still do it because and it was a very easy job. You could earn a lot of money, like working 2 days a week only, and the rest of the time you could play music. This decision to become, to have a proper job, even if it's a low-level job, taxi driver, you know, I always loved the job, but I didn't drive for like 20 years or longer. So I wouldn't do this decision anymore. When I'm a young guy and I want to become a musician, I would say, fuck it. Even if I have to starve, I want to be a musician. And there's my talent. There's my talent. And there's all the energy I have, I put into this profession.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. If that was your dream and you wanted to do, your dad bought you the guitar, you know, and the rest is history. What you gotta do one day? Get into a taxi, do like a Uber or one of the kind of stuff, and put your name tag, but don't tell anybody that you're famous. And on the radio, when you're picking up driving, you put electronic music or your stuff in the background to see if people recognize.
Yeah, I mean,
do like a video, and do like a video series. That would be a good idea. I'm quite sure you can get a lot of followers in YouTube if you do that. You put good music in the background, and you don't tell the people that.
Actually, it was really. There's this very funny story about Philip Glass when he was driving a cab, and there was this lady, the lady in his car, and in America we don't have this here. In Germany, you don't have your name. If you're a driver, you don't have your name there. But in New York, you have your name. Yeah. And of course, his name, Philip Glass, was there, and he was driving, and the lady saw his name, and she told him, there's a very famous composer with the same name as you, because she wasn't recognizing him that it was him.
Oh, well, that's a beautiful story, man.
And also, when I was living with Nico, when I did we didn't have gigs, I had to drive taxi, to make a living, to buy the heroin, all this. And she liked to go with me. She was sitting next to me, Nico, and we were driving through the nights, because she loved Berlin in the night. And when we had some customers, clients, they were a bit surprised that there was somebody sitting, but they didn't care, and that was really funny too.
So where's Nico's grave? Is in Berlin as well? Yeah.
It's Berlin, and there's also, I think, on YouTube you can find for the fans. There's a description, because it's not so easy to find. It's in the Grunewald, which is a forest here. It's really in the middle of the forest, and you can't go there by car. You have to walk through the forest for a while, and I was there with John Cale and with some other musicians, and it's a very, very beautiful cemetery in the middle of the forest.
That's right, beautiful, man. So what are your plans for the near future? Are you doing any recording at home? You plan to do any gigs as soon as you can, as soon as you're able to play?
Yeah, I'm working on songs. Actually, did I tell you? I think I told you in the beginning that I'm just working on a song, Free Speech, which I will produce maybe next week. I don't have many plans. I keep playing with this young musician, Franz Bachmann, this kind of music, and we wanted to do concerts also with this Thomas Franke and Schönwelder, like live concerts, but now no one knows. we are working on a studio album with Agitation Free for quite some years now. Every week we have a video conference, and the drummer is living in Bremen, which is North Germany. The new bass player, or not new, but our bass player, myself, we are living in Berlin. Michael Hönig is living in Ibiza. And we work, we collaborate. Everyone is home recording with Pro Tools, and then we met every week to have a chat of what we are changing. So this is what we do. And with 17 Hippies, I'm not sure if we will be. There's some concert maybe in summer, but with all the vaccination, I will refuse the vaccination and I won't do a test. So I'm not sure if I'm still in the band, if this is obligatory, so I'm not really sure, So and it might be, it might also be that it's not possible to play any concerts anymore, or it's getting so weird that no one is coming to concerts because people are really scared. They got so much information from the government. This is really like a propaganda, so that they don't want to every man, every person is now like a virus, like an enemy, So this is how we live now, and I'm quite relaxed. Even I'm maybe I'm a risk person because I'm older, but I think we have to get together like being humans, and fucking it, So I'm not sure where it's going with the music business, and if I'm able to be on the road again. I wish I could. I will do a new recording. I'm not sure if it will come out in this year or the spring or maybe later, because if you do an album, you go on tour. But if you can't go on tour, you ask yourself, should I do an album? But I'm thinking, and I have time, and the government is giving us money, so we don't have to work, and we get money so far, and I will see.
Yeah, so it will be, hopefully, the virus and the pandemic and all the stuff will go away, and all the musicians and everybody can be healthy and happy and do their thing. I would love to see you in Latin America or here in the United States or in Germany. I do plan, I was planning to go to Europe again this summer, but I don't know if I will be able to travel. I need to see I need to find more graves in Munich for my ancestor, but I want to go to Berlin. I've never been in Berlin, so when I'm Berlin, I will give you a call and we have dinner. We have supper.
Yeah, sure. If that's allowed, we do it.
If it's allowed, I don't know.
Yeah, because now it's not allowed.
And then, hopefully I can get a hold of Klaus Schulze and Manuel. I need to keep on emailing people. And you put me in touch with Honing, with Michael.
I will send you an email and tell him. Okay, good.
Thank you very much, Lutz, man. That was, 90, an hour and a half. Thank you very much. I will send you a link when this interview is over, so you can put in your social media.
Yeah, great.
All the interviews are posted, and thank you again for you. Keep on working, man. Stay alive, stay healthy.
Sure, I will.
You're doing well, man. You're a very humble and very good person, man. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your interest, and to all your fans of your radio station. Greetings to them, and I appreciate your love for our kind of music. Yeah?
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.